In this week's class, we shall be studying the development of the pensador in a little more depth. Our aim is to have a broader knowledge of the pensador and to really improve the body mechanics that are associated with it by combining the pence attack and the pence attack ariete. We are developing the close-range destruction of the opponent. The primary movement is instinctive, but the development thereafter is far from typical and needs some serious attention in order to catch a genuine ability. If you watch carefully, you can see how Matt is using the 6 punches as a base foundation in order to develop the technical aspect of this work. Matt destroys the incoming attack, then attacks with the pence attack, and follows immediately with the pence attack ariete. These movements evolved from within the fight, because we found it impossible to lift the head up to see what was happening when everything was going ballistic. So the concept of developing our instinctive defence mechanism into an actual weapon itself was how these movements first began life. The next clip is really good, because you can see Tony using the basic footwork and change of direction whilst applying the pensador, pence attack and the pence attack ariete. The information is easy, simple footwork, level changes and the pensador. But if you're not training hard, then there's no way on this earth that you will ever get to look and move like Tony. I can say one thing with great confidence, that this work is the consequence of life, experience, study and investigation. It has been self-creating, not an imitation of anybody. Now we can see how Justo feeds the basic punches with the pads, and how Tony receives the attack with the pensador. But can you remember what we said about receiving an attack? Well, we may be receiving an incoming attack, but the last thing we want to be doing is receiving that attack with a fearful or passive manner. No, we destroy the incoming attack with the pensador, and you can see how Tony immediately attacks with the pence attack and continues the onslaught with the pence attack ariete. As you can see clearly, the movement is very dynamic. We need these dynamics to deliver the power and also to frighten and confuse the opponent. When confronted with a pressured situation, the human doesn't usually have a confident and aggressive disposition. We are usually very wary and hesitant to enter. But this is the part that we've been working on since the beginning. We need to cultivate our instinct. This changes the way in which we present our mind, and the reflection of that is an aggressive posturing and predatory attitude. Once the concept of the pensador has been adopted, it's almost impossible to let go of it, as it will become a part of you and your expression. You will also realise through the training that it's just how it is. No secrets, no new super techniques, just human instinct and evolution. And the fact that you recognise that evolution, well, you decide. But I know that I always prefer to be on the cutting edge of things, as opposed to being blinded by ego, which always stops you looking. Hence, growth is very difficult when you are not looking to do so. Nice backdrop, eh? Here Tony and Matt show the same work, but with no focus pads. We need to be careful when training like this, but common sense should prevail, hopefully. We can see very clearly now that body mechanics really do play a massive part in the application of this work. Lazy mechanics mean poor application. Attacking high, then low, is something that is quite disturbing, especially in a pub club environment, as anything that plays with the visual perception of a given situation disturbs people emotionally, and fighting is emotionally fueled. In these next few shots, we can see how we attack with a typical elbow. Elbows are an awesome weapon, but they can also be destroyed as well. Obviously, countering the elbow is not easy, but it is possible, only we need good training methods and plenty of practice. You look how it's only the mind and its past conditioning that can plant the seed of doubt. This seed of doubt is like a weed in the garden. We must destroy it before it grows and damages everything else it touches. The knee is also seen as a devastating weapon, yet can we enter and destroy it? Obviously we can, but again we must believe and be training with a radical and predatory mentality. Let's be clear on one thing, we are studying the art of combat. and an obvious question that may arise, for example. What if we mistime or misjudge the destruction of the incoming knee attack? Well, the answer is quite simple really. We receive a massive damage. No surprises there then. These are the kind of questions that walk with us constantly. Yeah, but what if? Well, as we just said, when we enter into the arena, nobody knows the outcome. For this reason, only the mindset of a true predator will carry you through. Last but not least, can we counter the kick? Again, the answer is yes. As with all applications in the street, they come with a consequence, but we have no choice. Ability in the moment will give the answer. Our old saying comes into play here. Everything functions and nothing functions. Depends on us. Copying a technique is one thing, but you must catch the emotional essence, otherwise it's just choreography, and will not give you what you really want. Now let's take a quick look as Justo and Tony develop this work on the focus pads. If we want the abilities, then we must train on a daily basis. Simple application, as we always say, is far from easy. Lots of people like to think it's easy or preach this fact, but true ability only comes with a radical mentality and lots of hard work. I have made one simple observation over the years, and it's this: how many so-called teachers within the self-defense arena are so out of condition? It's scary, or should I say embarrassing. Do they know how uncool this actually looks? I have heard some interesting answers on this particular subject. One being, yeah, but street fights don't last that long, so I don't actually need a high level of fitness. There is a small truth in there, but there is a difference between moderate fitness and totally out of condition. When you feel the physical effects of an adrenaline-dumped frenzied attack, the effects on the body are dramatic. You need to be in moderate condition, no question about it. By training hard on a daily basis with a good mentality and the two-man predator exercise playing a big part of your daily training routine, you will acquire an adequate level of fitness. The younger fighters have no excuses, as they are in their physical prime. Neither do the older guys really, but the older guys are allowed a little more leeway. But not neglect, just a little leeway. In these next two clips we can see Matt and Tony training to counter the elbow attack. This particular training ground is one that we use a lot, as it's tough on the body and throws up all kinds of problems. One of them being that of sure footing, because when the surface is loose, it plays with the mind and can dramatically affect application abilities. Because it affects application abilities, it means we need to feel and adapt. This is a great skill, and one that must be trained on a regular basis. The academy is one thing, with its nice soft jigsaw mats, friendly environment. The harshness of training in the street every day is a completely different thing. In this week's two-man predator, we have Tony and Matt working with Justo. As this is the work for the orange grade, we should be starting to get a good feel for the predator work. We should be playing with the different environments now, like training in the rain, training late at night, or on a wet tiled floors like those in pub toilets or restaurants, training on the stairs. In fact, all the places that were typical of a street situation. Confined spaces, corridors, the list goes on. But I think you get the point by now. Our clothing, the surface of the ground, in this case covered in stones and gravel, the dust combined with the wind, well, it all makes for an interesting workout, that's for sure. But this is where it's at. And if we really do enjoy studying the urban street application, then this kind of training is awesome. It teaches us who we really are and what we really own, not what we think we own. Preaching the arts is one thing, and there are lots of great talkers out there. But this kind of training is where KFM has lived all its life. And all the students and instructors alike develop great abilities because of the training methods. Until next week, enjoy.